Hello and welcome to LSJ Sports News. We have 25 minutes of all your latest sports news from Lincoln coming up on this week's show. Lincoln City are in search for a new manager. There's been an overhaul at Lincoln United. We'll have the details from Ashby Avenue. And the Lincolnshire Bombers have got off to a slow start to their season. So lots to get through, but we're going to start at Sincil Bank. Lincoln City's search for a new manager continues after Chris Moyes officially stepped down after the Imps' 3-1 defeat away at Cheltenham Town last weekend. The defeat means City finished 13th in the National League, a far cry from challenging for a playoff place just a few months ago. But Moyes' reign has certainly been full of ups and downs. Chris Moyes was appointed as Lincoln City manager on December the 8th, 2014, after firstly taking over on a caretaker basis from Gary Simpson. But the second half of last season under Moyes was largely underwhelming for the Imps, despite a famous 3-1 away victory at Grimsby Town with this Charlie Adams screamer.
Now turning as far as Adams with a drive, goal for City! What a goal for the Imps, Charlie Adams!
City finished 15th in the Conference Premier and ended the season with just one win in 10 matches. This prompted the manager to defend his position at the end of the season.
Numbers of players on one-year deals or the final year or 2 year, looking to go elsewhere, looking to give themselves a chance for the future. But the best way I thought was to play well for Lincoln City, and there wasn't many that have done that recently. So that's where I'm being honest with you on that one. I don't think I've failed.
But the new season came with fresh optimism at Sincil Bank, and the new-looked Imp squad began well, losing just one of their opening 6 matches. That run included another enthralling derby with rivals Grimsby, where an early Matt Reed penalty was cancelled out by Omar Bogle in a 1-1 draw. The Imps began to mount a serious promotion push and found themselves 4th in the National League after a 3-1 victory at Torquay United in November. But what was one of the downsides of Moyes' reign, striker Liam Hearn handed in a transfer request just a week later. The former Mansfield man had built a good partnership with top scorer Matt Reed, but went out on loan to Barrow for a month in December.
I feel let down because we have given Liam a good chance, and to leave me in a situation where if he'd have been up front and honest, say, look, I want to go out and go, I could have dealt with it because I could have had plan B, but I didn't get a chance to get plan B.
City vowed to be stronger in his absence, but they were the opposite. A dismal winter period saw them go 11 games without a win, including a 1-0 home defeat to Forest Green Rovers. Their playoff push was in the balance, but the double signing of ex-Imp Jamie McComb and Shrewsbury Town winger James Caton sparked a mini revival in City's promotion hopes.
There's no reason why we can't. What we've done so far since I've come in, what I've seen, we look like a good side who went on a bit of a poor run, but we've picked up the last sort of 3-4 weeks, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going, and who knows, we might be in the shake-up coming in the season. However, the winter run proved to be the undoing for Chris Moyes' men, and the Imps boss revealed he would be leaving the club at the end of the season, at the beginning of April. But fans were virtually split on whether the former City player and director had done a good job.
I think with Chris Moyes, it was behind the scenes where we saw his main work done, and unfortunately for the fans sometimes, that's not what they see. They only get to watch what happens on the pitch, really. But Chris Moyes certainly took the club back into more of a professional outlook, is probably the best way to describe it. And sort of brought together a good spirit amongst the team. You saw a group of players there, you could never call them mercenary. They were really working hard for each other, and there was a good team ethic.
The season ended at Sincil Bank for the 2015-16 season, and Lincoln City were once again without a manager. Now the season is officially over for Lincoln City, and focus now turns to who the club are going to appoint as their new manager. Lots of names are in the frame, including North Ferriby United boss Billy Heath and Braintree Town manager Danny Cowley. Now, you saw him in the piece on Chris Moyes, and Lincolnshire Echo sports editor John Pakey has given us his thoughts on who the new manager could be.
We've not had a managerial announcement yet. What does that allude to? It alludes to the fact that the manager is probably still actually working. So that looks like it could be a person who is looking after a team which is in playoffs. So we've got to kind of wait for the playoffs to shake out before we actually know who might get appointed. It's all very up and down at the moment. I think people might be a little bit panicked and worry about the fact that, does this mean that we're not going to get an appointment done in time for when the retain list has to come out, because there's a deadline on that. But I'm on the understanding the new person will be ready to put a retain list out as soon as they're appointed. A lot of speculation about Billy Heath, people talking about him, the North Ferriby United manager. He has got one very good thing on his CV that a lot of managers may not have, and that is an FA Trophy win. Now, fantastic that is, especially with North Ferriby underdogs in that situation. And I think that's what Lincoln City need to look for. They need to look for someone who's got some medals already, some kind of achievement which people can actually bank into and think, right, well, let's have Billy Heath and let him take Lincoln City to the FA Trophy final. That'd be a great first thing to achieve in his first year as manager of the club. But on the other hand, you'd look at Billy Heath and you'd think, well, he's only North Ferriby United, that's lower down the level. Surely we want a manager who is maybe taking a step down from the Football League and saying, I'm going to take Lincoln City back up to the Football League, because that's essentially what everyone wants. The thing that matters is, really, with Danny Cowley, he's very much new maybe at Braintree. He had 8 years at Concord Rangers, and what he did with Concord was fantastic. He took them from Essex Senior League, which is probably about the same level as a team like Sleaford Town is, and took them all the way up to the Conference South. Now, that's brilliant, that's a real achievement. So then he's gone on to Braintree with his brother as well. It was a bit of a partnership, those two are, and they've done exceptionally well at Braintree. He's worked very hard in that area, and I think that's a lot of the ones which people are kind of working their minds around. Would he make the move back up to this area? Is his success down to the knowledge of the players that he has down south? And that's the big one which people are chewing over. I believe it all hinges around the playoffs, so depends. We could have something by Monday, could be something a bit later, but I do know that they should be in place hopefully to get something done for the deadline when it comes to saying who's going to be given the contract for next season.
Well, it's certainly a fascinating race, and you can catch up on all the latest managerial developments by following our media accounts on Twitter. They are at Link Sport and at LSJ Sports. Now, Lincoln United have announced that Malcolm Cowling is stepping down from his role as chairman of the club. Cowling has been on the board since 2010 and was elected as chairman the following year. But despite United's tremendous year, finishing 5th in the Evo Stick Division 1 South, the chairman has decided to step down. Ian Beaumont, who was head of youth development at Ashby Avenue, will take over the role as of next season. So, as mentioned, it's been a terrific year for Lincoln United, who reached the playoffs, but were beaten 3-2 by Shore Lane Aquaforce in the semi-final.
Last season for Lincoln United ended in disappointment, as the Whites slumped to 4 defeats in their last 6 games. With the playoffs in sight, a 3-1 loss to Gresley dashed their hopes as they started to prepare for the 2015-16 campaign.
At the minute we're very disappointed because you know, we knew if we won today it'd give us a chance to get in the playoffs, but you know, it's not to be. That's playoffs over now. We've just got to try and look at 1 or 2 things, you know, in prep for next year.
A strong start to the season saw the Whites outline their playoff ambitions as they beat promotion rivals Shore Lane Aquaforce, Basford and Colville. However, their season took a turn for the worst, following a 1-0 defeat at home to Stafford Rangers. This was in the run of 4 games without a win.
That's our 7th game this year. We've lost in 25, so you know we're still a long way to go. The team's going to pick up results today, you know, I'm sure. But you know, no one would have thought we'd have gone to Colville and Shore Lane and Chasetown and got 7 points out of 9. But yeah, it's a setback.
Dave Frecklington's side responded excellently, only losing 2 of their last 15 games, going into the rugby match knowing a win would confirm them a playoff place. After an early setback, Lincoln United responded excellently, winning 3-1, which caused these celebrations. The win set up a semi-final against Shore Lane Aquaforce, a side they'd beaten twice already this season.
We deserve to be in the playoffs. You know, I think 21 games we've won now, and a real achievement for this football club. You know, we had a 3-year plan to try and get somewhere near, and you know, we've managed to achieve getting in the playoffs. Really proud man tonight.
In snowy conditions, the Whites fell 3-0 behind, but with 5 minutes remaining, United pulled 2 goals back, but couldn't find an unlikely equaliser, eventually losing the game 3-2. And following the defeat, Dave Frecklington questioned his future.
We'll have a chat with him in summer, with the chairman, and see where we go. You know, I've been here 3 seasons now, and it was always a 3-year plan to try and get us into the playoffs, which we've done. So you know, we'll sit down in the summer and take a nice earned break now, recharge the batteries. Obviously I'm hurting at the moment. It's been you know, hard to take, roller coaster ride as they say, but yeah, we'll wait till the dust settles and see what happens.
So joining me now is the Lincolnshire Echo's Lincoln United reporter James Williams. Welcome, James. So first of all, what's your assessment been of Lincoln United's season so far?
I think it was a good season. They had a good season. I mean, they made the playoffs. That was what they wanted to do at the start of the season, and so I think they've achieved that. But I think it's almost like what could have been. There's that taste of what could have been, because I don't think they really, against Shore Lane for the first 60 minutes in that playoff semi-final, did themselves justice really. And then the comeback was on at 3-0 down. They got it back to 3-2, but it was too little, too late really. And I think that was disappointing, because I really do think they could have actually won that match and taken on Colville in the final.
There have been question marks about manager Dave Frecklington's future since the defeat to Shore Lane in the playoff semi-final. What's your assessment? I mean, do you think he'll stay?
It's a difficult one to judge really. I mean, the way he was talking straight after the match, I got the sense that he was thinking not. I mean, I suppose when you've had a full season of going for the playoffs and going for promotion and then you miss out, it's hard to take, and I think all of that has come, all of what he said has come quite soon after being knocked out of the playoffs. So I think give him time to think about it, and maybe, we don't know if he's going to get any managerial offers from elsewhere, maybe higher up, because I think he certainly can manage higher. And that, I think that would determine whether he stays, because he definitely has an affinity with Lincoln United, and there's a nice feel about the club, and I don't think he'd just leave that just because they haven't been promoted this season. I think he'd only leave for something better.
So if he stays or he goes, what do you think is realistic for Lincoln United next season?
It's difficult to say really, because I've heard talk about how they might struggle to keep the players that they've got on, at the moment on their books. I think they might struggle because other teams in higher leagues will be looking at them, obviously, after such a good season. So it's difficult to say. If Dave leaves and they lose some players, maybe even just staying in the same division might be what they've got hope for next season. It depends who they bring in to replace them and what funds are there, and obviously the chairman's stepping down as well, so it's difficult to say.
Well, it's certainly been a fantastic season for Lincoln United. We hope they can implicate that next year. Thank you very much for joining us, James. Now it's over to Adam for the rest of the season roundup.
Cheers, Liam. Lincoln Moorlands Railway dropped out of the Northern Counties East League Division 1 towards the end of the 2015-16 campaign. The Moors had a dismal season, losing all but 3 of their league matches. The long-term future is uncertain for Lincoln's third football club, and it remains to be seen whether they'll return in some capacity. Lindham Hockey laboured to an 8th place finish in the North Hockey Men's League Division 1. They formed after the integration of Lincoln Hockey and Lincoln Roses and made a strong start to the campaign. However, they were winless in their last 6 matches and will look to improve upon their mid-table finish next season. And finally, Lincoln Rugby Club had a terrific end to their season, winning their last 5 games to finish 3rd in the Midlands 3 East-North League. That's your season reviews. Back to you, Liam.
Adam Tomlinson there with your season roundups. Now, over 70 doctors and health experts have been campaigning to ban rugby, a sport which has been played in schools since 1845. Since the sport turned professional 21 years ago, the physicality of rugby has risen massively. But how dangerous is it for children? Adam Tomlinson visited Lincoln Rugby Club to find out.
Hit after hit after hit. Children have played rugby in schools since the 19th century. But how dangerous is the sport for them? And are they at risk playing it? Over 70 doctors and health experts think so, and have written to the government wanting to outlaw contact rugby because they believe the amount of collisions are too dangerous.
I'm not interested in what people think. I'm interested in what the data says. So the latest research out of Ulster followed 825 school children who play rugby. Right? Out of those 825 children, in just one academic year, so that's probably, 9 months, there were over 400 injuries, and perhaps most worrying, and this is what really should bring pause to anybody who's involved with rugby in any capacity, particularly for children, there were 81 diagnosed concussions.
Now hit him. Good boy. Now drive, drive, drive. Go down, Joe. You're down.
Coaches at Lincoln Rugby Club regularly run sessions on how to tackle properly to try and avoid any minor or lifelong injuries that are associated with the sport.
They need to know exactly where to put their head, where to put their hands, especially in the contact area, and they'll only learn that by actually practicing it and feeling confident in it as well.
The increased physicality in the professional game highlights the importance of learning the correct technique. as in the modern game when two players collide, it can have the same force as a 60-mile-an-hour car crash. Former England international Rory Underwood, who now lives in Lincolnshire, believes if anything, it's the coaching that needs improving.
I think it's important that there is contact at an early stage, but that it's also properly taught. The importance of the technique for me is the biggest thing. I've played against big opposition when I was a kid as when I was playing rugby for England. Nothing's changed, and so you still got to technically tackle that person in the same way.
If contact's taken out of the game, then rugby is reduced to this. It may be safer, but it's not the game introduced in schools around 200 years ago. Adam Tomlinson, LSJ Sports, Lincoln Rugby Club.
Cricket now, and Lindum Cricket Club are finalising plans for the start of their new season. The Lincolnshire Premier League side are looking to improve on their mid-table finish last season and welcome 2 new recruits. I was at the Lindum Sports Ground for their opening game of the season against Netherham and bring this report. As the sun begins to shine on the Lindum Sports Ground, it can only mean that the local cricketing season is upon us. And there's a real air of optimism surrounding Lindum's first team as the Lincolnshire Premier League season gets underway. Lindum finished 7th in the league last year and hope to considerably improve that for 2016.
I expect us to be right up there. We've signed Matt Rutherford, has come back from Raisin. Luke Robertson stayed with us. We've got an Australian come over, and we've got a strong lineup now. So with some of these juniors pushing in as well, I hope that we're going to be right up there.
After a strong season in 2015, opening the batting for Lindum in the summer and Plenty Valley Cricket Club in Australia in the winter, Will Wright begins 2016 on a high after being called up to play for the second team in Leicestershire. The 19-year-old had a strong youth career, often scoring well for the Lindum senior sides, and has carried his impressive batting ability through the ranks.
Pretty confident I had a good season in Australia, and so hopefully I can back my words up. It was awesome, like going over, not just as a cricketer, but like the life skills you learn out there, and it was just a once in a lifetime experience. What was pretty awesome.
Joining Lindum's 11 this summer is Australian and Wright's Plenty Valley teammate Brad Mitchell. He'll spend the season in the county, looking to follow Lindum to success this year.
You know, it's a good development for myself, just because the conditions are so different to back home. So it's invaluable for me as a cricketer to come over here and play in these conditions for 5 or 6 months. I've sort of underachieved the last couple of years, and we've added a couple of good players into the group and a couple of players from other clubs. So I mean, I don't see why we can't challenge the top 2 or 3 teams. So yeah, I think we'll go pretty well.
So Lindum have begun their 2016 campaign at home to Netherham, looking to build on their mid-table finish in the Lincolnshire Premier League last year. They'll be hoping that their new recruit, Brad Mitchell from Australia, and the youngsters coming through from the academy can fly them to glory this time round. Liam Ray, LSJ Sports at the Lindum Sports Ground. Now on to American football, and local side the Lincolnshire Bombers have made a difficult start to their campaign. Ross Garrigan has the details in the newsroom for us.
Yeah, thanks Liam. I'm in the newsroom now with Barry Howarth, who's the marketing manager for the Lincolnshire Bombers American Football Club. Barry, so how's the season started for you?
Not too badly. We haven't got off to the start we'd want. We lost the first 2 games. First game was a lot of rookie mistakes. We've got a lot of new people, so dropped catches, missed assignments, stuff that won't happen later on in the season. Our second game we lost by 2 points. Against a really good side in Humber. So yeah, it was a bit of a local rivalry. Their first home game, their first game of the season. Only lost by 2, so 0-2, but not badly if you look deeper.
Yeah, how are you expecting the season to go in the long run?
We were within a shot of the playoffs last season. The 3 teams that finished above us, 2 of them made the final and both got promoted. So it was a really tough competition last year. This year our hope is now to go another step further and hopefully make the playoffs.
In terms of popularity of the sport, American football does seem to be getting a bit of traction over here, potentially because people are becoming more aware of it.
Unquestionably.
Is that having an effect on the team and the way people support the team?
Yeah, we're getting more and more players turning up every year. It's actually making my job a little bit easier because everyone knows, well, more people are getting to know about American football, Google the team, so Google's kind of making me redundant at the moment. But no, we are getting more players in every year.
Hopefully more people will be inspired by this as well. What's your website if people want to go and find out some more?
I have to look this way, I'm afraid. It's Lincolnshire-bombers.org.
Fantastic again. Good luck for the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ross.
Now, Lincoln boxer Bobby Jenkinson is fighting back after losing his Commonwealth Super Bantamweight title in March. The 24-year-old has returned to Bracebridge Heath Boxing Club to train for his next fight, which could be as soon as June. Adam Tomlinson reports.
After a courageous defeat against Gamal Yafai in the Commonwealth Super Bantamweight, Bobby the Dazzler Jenkinson is back in training with his dad and trainer Gary as he prepares for his future fights.
I've been working on moving right more and parrying the jab and not boxing a bit more as well. It all happened a bit too fast, and I've got no regrets. It was a good fight, and a lot of people have said good things about it.
Bobby had appeared on Box Nation before and fell to only his second career defeat, fighting in front of the Sky Sports cameras.
On Sky, because obviously it was a big fight, and I had a lot on me. I was nervous, but I'm used to it now, and I enjoyed it. And going into the next fight, I'm going to have a lot more experience, and I'll be able to cope with it a lot better.
Each session at the Bracebridge Boxing Club imitates rounds in the ring, as a timer counts down how long he does each exercise for. The Lincoln boxer hasn't announced a new fight since his Commonwealth defeat, but he has got plans for the future.
Hopefully in June, no dates confirmed yet, but a British title eliminator, so hopefully I can get the British title.
Bobby could be returning to the ring in just under a month, attempting to win a British title. Adam Tomlinson, LSJ Sport, Bracebridge Boxing Club.
It's May now, and that means the Lincoln Grand Prix cycle race is almost upon us. It takes place next weekend and will feature a women's race for the very first time. However, the roster for this year could have been different after the organising committee were forced to cancel some events after a dispute with a rival company. 2016 was poised to be another landmark year for cycling in Lincoln after the announcement of a 3-day event to be held in May. However, after months of legal battles, the newly formed Lincoln Festival of Cycling has been forced to cancel 3 out of its 5 planned events, after a dispute with a rival company who had staged a similar event over the last 5 years.
We were just trying to grow the event and make a bigger spectacle of it. We don't have funds. We'd raised from investors £20,000 to make the offer to buy the event off the previous organisers, but yeah, in the end it wasn't acceptable, so we've had to cancel all the support events and just stick with the Grand Prix.
After the success of the National Championships, which were held in the city last year, it's a huge blow for the organising committee, who'd planned to expand their programme. This leaves the Grand Prix events on their own, with the Criterium Uphill Dash and Sportive all being cancelled, but there will still be a new edition this year, despite the cancellations.
Before 2015, it's been a single men's race, whereas, so actually, ignoring the National Championships, which is a 4-day event, we're stepping up in some level, so we're going from a men's race to a men's race and a women's race. So we are still making some kind of headway with growing the weekend. So
fans can still expect another entertaining weekend of cycling, but the organisers do hope that a full 3-day event can take place in the future. Liam Ray, LSJ Today, Lincoln. Now for some bowls, and for many people it's a sport associated with the older generation. However, a local club in Lincoln has revealed it's attracting members across the age groups. And as Ross Garrigan explains, the club is thriving under this increase in participation.
When you think of high stakes, high excitement sports, indoor bowls probably doesn't spring to mind. But at Lincoln and District Indoor Bowls Club, the tension on the greens is high. Roger Clark is from the club and says it has a very long history.
The club was founded in the early 1970s by a set of outdoor players who thought there was a need for the indoor bowling setup. The current membership of the club is 1,200, which we believe to be the largest membership in England.
You might have seen people playing bowls before, but what are they actually trying to achieve?
The rules are fairly straightforward. The mat you play on is approximately 40 yards long, although the playing area usually is about 37 of that 40. You have a small white ball, which you call a jack, and then you have a set of bowls which are biased. They're not biased by weight, they're biased by the shape, one side being flatter than the other. And the idea is that you play your bowl down the green. You'll have to play out wide because of the bias, although there are different biases for different types of woods. And generally speaking, the rule is the one nearest to the jack, which is a small white ball, scores a point.
And if you think that indoor bowls is a sport for pensioners, you'd be wrong. Apparently most people in the big international competitions are in their 40s and 50s. Lincoln and District Indoor Bowls Club would certainly welcome you along.
That's all for this week's edition of LSJ Sports News. Remember, you can catch up on all the sporting news from Lincoln by following Link Sport and LSJ Sport on Twitter. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.